Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This video will be focusing on how to study pathology in medical school. The video will be divided into three parts like all my videos are. We will start by discussing textbooks and then review books and question books. Then we'll move on to some online resources and we'll end by discussing my own notes and how I personally study pathology in medical school. Now, before even starting the video, I want to say two things to you. One, that I will be making much more videos now, so please subscribe to the channel. And the second thing is that I hope you're all at home and you're all safe and you're all practicing the social distancing measures that we need right now. So without waiting any longer, let's begin. We'll start with the textbooks. Now, a small disclaimer is that I never really used textbooks as my primary resource when it comes to pathology. So all these recommendations that I'm going to give you now of the textbooks are for the people who absolutely need a textbook. I don't think you need a textbook to do good in your pathology course. But if you are one of those people who cannot live without a book, then these textbooks are for you, and for the other people I have other recommendations. So let's start with the first textbook is The Basis of Disease by Robbins. It's very popular, very well known. A lot of medical schools use it as their primary resource. The problem is that it's just huge, and people who can revise all of it before their exams are just gunners, I guess, and they're amazing, but I'm not. I did use it, but not that much. I quickly realized that it is not my cup of tea. It's just too much. There are just too much words for me to absorb all of them, and I just gave up on this book very soon. But it's very popular, and if your school recommends it, then you can check it out. I don't really recommend it. The other textbook is the Robbins Basic Pathology, which is like a much compact version of this. I use the word compact very loosely because it's still a huge book, and it is popularly known as Medium Robbins. And then there is another book which is the Small Robbins. I'm so sorry for this chipped nail though. Anyway, which is known as the Small Robbins. This is much less repetition as compared to this book, and it has some topics that have been excluded from this book that are present in this. So you have this other textbook, very popular among medical students as well. Didn't really like either of them, didn't really use either of them, but then again, it's my personal choice. I just felt it was just too much information for me to absorb all of it. So anywho, the textbook that I did use when it came to using any textbook was this, and I highly recommend it. If you are looking for a textbook, then you should get this one. It is called Ramdas Nayak Exam Preparatory Manual for Undergraduates. You can easily find a PDF version of it online, so you don't really have to buy it. It's available online, and it's really good for some very obvious reasons that I'm going to mention in a minute when I'll talk about on how I studied pathology. But for now, just keep this book in mind. When it comes to review book and the primary resource that I used, it would be The Fundamentals of Pathology, or aka Pathoma by Dr. Sattar. When it comes to Dr. Sattar, I think he is just amazing. So it's not about this book because this book is tiny. It's about the videos that he makes. So reach out to a senior or buy these videos on your own and use them because they are amazing. And this is actually the most recommended thing out there currently. And if you're a medical student and you have not seen Pathoma, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Just get your hands on it. Don't even stop watching these videos. Get Pathoma first and then come back to this video. That's all I'm going to say about Pathoma. For review, I used this book, which is called BRS Pathology. And if you have seen any of my previous videos, you know that I'm a huge fan of board review series. Although when it comes to pathology, I recommend using Pathoma much more than I recommend using BRS. But I use BRS to solve questions because every chapter ends with a question bank, a small question, 10-20 questions with answers, which really helps me hammer down the information. And it is a good review book if you're just looking for an additional review book. Okay, so these are essentially all the books that I have when it comes to pathology, because I think that understanding and learning pathology should be done in a little different way than other medical courses. Now I'll explain what I mean by that. So let's take an example. Let's take an example of something as simple as myocardial infarction, right? So when it comes to myocardial infarction, you have to understand that when it comes to understanding a topic, I'm sorry, I just used that twice. Anyway, sorry, let's take a step back. So myocardial infarction, what happens is that in myocardial infarction, when you talk about the pathology of myocardial infarction, you first have to need to know the what, why, who, when, all of that of MI. And then you have to know the histopathology of that, like how does a heart look after the heart has been through an MI, or if you cut a piece of that heart, how would it look under a microscope, right? So you have to know that. So basically you have to study pathology in these two various ways. You have to know the disease itself and its what, why, where, whom, all of that, and then you have to know its histopathology. So what I did was that I'll take a topic which is, for example, myocardial infarction. Number one, I would watch a video of myocardial infarction from Fundamentals of Pathology, Pathoma, and he will explain just the ABCs of myocardial infarction in such a way that I will just know the basics. I will be confident with the basics and I will make sure that I know everything about the basics. Great, done. Video done, theory done from Pathoma. Then I will move on and watch a video mostly from Osmosis or any other YouTube channel. You just type myocardial infarction and you'll get like 1,000 videos. But the one that I recommend the most is using, the channel that I recommend the most that you should use is of course Osmosis. Amazing channel, amazing videos, amazing animations. Great. Now I'll ask myself, do I need to make a sketch about it? Do I need to make a notes about it? Or does it just make sense to me as it is? Or I don't need any additional notes? If the answer to my question is yes, Ravina, you have to make some notes about it because it's still not making sense to you, then I'll probably make like a sketch or something because that's how I do most of my stuff. So for example, I'm trying to find something to show you. Yeah, so for example, extravascular hemolysis, a topic as simple as extravascular hemolysis, I would make, if I need to know it in more detail or if I think I can't really picture it well, I will make these diagrams or sketches, right, to hammer down the information, or something as simple as like this, like anemia of malignancy. I'll show you. So after watching a video of anemia of malignancy from here and after watching something from Osmosis, I will draw it out to make sure that I know it, because that's how I advise every junior of mine. Like if you don't understand it, try drawing it. If you can draw it, you probably understand it. That's my motto in life, right? So I'll do that, and if only for the topics that that need more enforcing. If they don't really need more enforcing, then I'll just let them be. Done. Pathoma, Osmosis, making a sketch to make sure that I know. Now, so far I've done the what, who, why, when of the disease. I still haven't really dived into the histopathology. Now, you don't need to know histopathology much, like in more detail when it comes to, like, for example, your board exams or some specialization exams. But when it comes to pure pathology exams, they will ask you about histopathology and morphology every single time. In that case, what you have to do is that you have to go back to your textbooks. Now, I never use these textbooks to study histopathology and morphology, but there are like essentially there are pictures like these, and then there are like charts like these that explain key concepts and morphological concepts that you can use, and pictures like these that you can use. I did not really enjoy this, but there is a part of these textbooks that goes very deep into those morphology and histopathological cases. What I used instead was this book, because man, this book is great when it comes to that, when it comes to explaining the histopathology and the morphology. Can you see, like, it explains every picture first with like an actual specimen and then with a drawing. Now, I don't know about you, but I am a very visual person. So if I get something like this, like a comparison like this, like I wouldn't be able to understand an ulcer by just looking at an actual specimen. I need to have a drawing, and then that drawing would help me understand what a specimen, an actual specimen, would look like. And this book does an excellent job of it. Just I'll show you another example. So yeah, as you can see, so these cartoonic representations really help me when it comes to morphology and histopathology. So I would always end my studying any topic by going back and using this book as my resource for morphology and histopathology. You can use any textbook for morphology and histopathology, but I really like this. I really like the pictorial representation of it, and then I also started making them on my own. So once you get the hang of it, how they're made, you can also make them on your own, right? So that's how I did. I start with pathoma. I move on to osmosis. I try to make my own notes if I think I need more reinforcing. And then I go back to a textbook, any textbook that I like. I do morphology and histopathology from that textbook because I need more details. And then I end all of that by solving questions of that particular topic by either through BRS or any online quiz that you can find, right? And that's pretty much it. You can also teach pathology to your friends, and that would help too. I'll just let you know one thing is that finding how you study pathology would take time. So give yourself a couple of weeks, use these resources. Even I use these textbooks, and if they work for you, please stick to them by all means. What I'm trying to say is that take everything I say with a grain of salt. Use all of these techniques for a week or two, figure out what works for you, and then stick to it. But just have 3 or 4 general idea about it, about how you study it. Like, just know that you have to watch some sort of video to understand the concepts, then you have to have some sort of resource to understand the histopathology and morphology, then you have to have some sort of resource to do questions and test yourself. And if you follow this general idea of studying pathology, you will probably do good and you'll be fine. Yeah. So that's pretty much it when it comes to pathology. If you have any questions, please write them down in the comment section below. I'll make sure to reply. And sorry for the noises that are outside. I'm very close to the window. I'm sorry for that. Also, please like, comment, share, and subscribe if this video was helpful. And I'll see you in the next one, which is probably gonna be a study with me video. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Goodbye.